Right.
It wasn't. We didn't see that.
And now it's not the kid's journey.
Right.
It's the parents' journey. Whereas when you're growing up, you're thinking, Randy keeps pushing me left. I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn to go left,
Yeah.
right? And now it's just you and him know that we're in this little battle every day all summer. Instead of it's on social media, parents are talking about it, coach, you know what I mean? It's like this high performance thing. I'd love to know from you what the transition was. So you played a lot of informal basketball growing up, other sports, you're on the playground, outside school. What was it like when you went to Madrid? 13 years old?
13.
Real Madrid.
Behind closed doors, the Lakers owner just made a discovery that's sending shockwaves through the organization. LeBron James, the face of their franchise, might be orchestrating his exit in the most calculated way possible. What started as a routine injury report has turned into something far more suspicious, and the timing couldn't be worse. With Luka Doncic's name suddenly appearing in trade conversations and LeBron's mysterious absences piling up, insiders are asking one question. Is the king faking it to force his way out? The evidence is mounting, the front office is panicking, and what we're about to reveal could change everything you thought you knew about loyalty and the NBA. Let's rewind to early January 2025. The Lakers are in the thick of the playoff race, every game matters, and suddenly LeBron James starts appearing on injury reports with vague descriptions: left foot soreness, general body maintenance, lower back tightness. Nothing specific, nothing that shows up on scans, just enough to keep him out of crucial games. Here's where it gets interesting. Multiple sources inside the organization started noticing something odd. LeBron would miss games, sure, but he'd be at practice the day before, moving perfectly fine, going through full-speed drills, looking like vintage LeBron. Then game day would roll around, and boom, he's out. The official word would come down just hours before tip-off, leaving the coaching staff scrambling and fans frustrated. One staff member, speaking on condition of anonymity, said this has become a pattern unlike anything they've seen before in LeBron's tenure. This isn't the careful load management of a 40-year-old preserving his body for a championship run. This is something else entirely. The timing is too convenient, the explanations too vague, and the recovery too inconsistent. But why would LeBron, a guy who's built his entire brand on being available, on carrying teams, suddenly start sitting out games they desperately need to win? The answer lies in what's been happening behind the scenes in the Lakers front office, and it all connects to one name: Luka Doncic. In late December 2024, whispers started circulating about a blockbuster deal. The Lakers front office had been quietly exploring the possibility of making a massive move, one that would reshape the entire franchise. They had identified a generational talent who could potentially be available, and they were doing their homework on how to make the numbers work. The problem is, they didn't tell LeBron. For nearly 2 decades, LeBron James has been more than just a player. He's been a GM, a recruiter, a franchise architect. In Miami, he brought in his guys. In Cleveland, he orchestrated the Kevin Love trade. In Los Angeles, he's had significant input on every major roster decision, from the Anthony Davis trade to the Russell Westbrook disaster to the subsequent cleanup. So when LeBron found out, not through official channels, but through his own connections around the league, that the Lakers were seriously considering a move that would dramatically shift the team's financial future and potentially limit his own influence, something broke. Sources say LeBron confronted management in early January. The conversation didn't go well. The front office position was simple: we're trying to build something sustainable beyond your playing years. LeBron's response? You can't build anything without me, and if you're going to make moves without consulting me, maybe I shouldn't be here at all. This wasn't just about basketball strategy. This was about respect, about legacy, about who really runs the organization. LeBron had operated under the assumption that he was untouchable, that his voice carried ultimate weight. The Luka discussions shattered that illusion, and that's when the injuries started piling up.
Basketball in Europe and America is that it's the development skill, the fundamentals are not expressed. It's like, just play. Just play. You know, and a lot of guys and a lot of kids are not developing their skill. They're not developing the fundamentals. You know, like he just said, There was times during practice that it was all about, advantage basketball,
right.
4-on-3, 3-on-2. If I can create 2 on the ball, then I know we have a numbers advantage. Instead of reading the game that way, a lot of kids think, when we grew up, if I have 2 on the ball, then I have to figure out a way how to get around this guy or split the double team. Right.
Here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. In mid-January, the Lakers owner decided to make an unannounced visit to the team's practice facility. It was late afternoon, well after the team's official practice had ended. LeBron was listed as day-to-day with that mysterious foot soreness that had kept him out of the previous 2 games. The owner walked into the gym and found LeBron in the middle of an intense workout. We're not talking about light shooting or rehab exercises. According to multiple people who were present, LeBron was going full speed, doing explosive movements, cutting, jumping, doing everything you definitely wouldn't do if you actually had foot soreness serious enough to miss NBA games. The atmosphere immediately got tense. LeBron noticed the owner watching. For a moment, neither said anything. Then LeBron simply grabbed his towel and walked toward the locker room. No explanation, no acknowledgement of the awkwardness, nothing. But that wasn't the only incident. Over the next week, staff members started comparing notes. LeBron would be injured on game days, but would show up to the facility on off days, working out harder than guys who were actually playing. His personal trainer was putting him through grueling sessions that would be impossible if the listed injuries were legitimate. The medical staff was put in an impossible position. They couldn't publicly contradict LeBron's claims without creating a massive controversy. But internally, their reports weren't matching up with his absences. One source described it as everyone knowing what's really happening, but no one being willing to say it out loud. The most damning evidence came from security footage that apparently showed LeBron leaving the facility after one of these intense workouts, moving without any sign of injury, getting into his car normally, everything looking perfectly fine. This was footage from a day he'd missed a game due to that same foot issue. The owner now had a decision to make. Confront LeBron directly, leak this information to pressure him, or play along and hope the situation resolves itself. Let's talk about what LeBron is really doing here, because if you understand the strategy, it's actually kind of brilliant in a ruthless, calculated way. By February 2025, LeBron's camp had quietly reached out to several organizations, not through official trade request channels, but through back channels. The kind of conversations that happen at All-Star Weekend, through agents talking to other agents, through relationships built over 2 decades in the league. The message was subtle but clear. LeBron might be available, and he might be interested in finishing his career somewhere that values his input and builds around his vision. Teams immediately started doing the math on how they could make a deal work. But here's the genius part of the injury strategy. LeBron isn't tanking his trade value by playing poorly or causing obvious locker room drama. He's preserving his body, staying fresh, and creating plausible deniability. When he does play, he can still showcase that he's capable of elite performance. When he doesn't, he can point to legitimate concerns about a 40-year-old body needing rest. At the same time, his absences are hurting the Lakers. They're losing games they should win. They're falling in the standings. The front office is getting desperate. And desperation makes teams more willing to accommodate trade demands, more willing to give LeBron what he wants, whether that's having a say in the Luka deal or letting him walk to a situation where he has more control. Multiple sources indicate that at least 3 organizations have expressed serious interest. One Eastern Conference contender sees LeBron as the final piece for a championship run. A Western Conference team believes pairing him with their young star could create the next dynasty. And there's even talk of a return to a previous organization, a legacy play, that would let LeBron finish his career where it all began. The February trade deadline is approaching fast. Every game LeBron misses increases the pressure. Every workout he's caught doing while injured adds to the evidence that this is all orchestrated. The question isn't whether LeBron wants out anymore. The question is whether the Lakers will have the courage to call his bluff or if they'll cave to his demands. Inside the Lakers locker room, the situation has become toxic in ways that don't always show up on camera. Players are split into camps. Some veterans understand LeBron's position. They've seen how quickly franchises will discard loyalty when it's convenient for them. If the front office is exploring major moves without consulting their best player, maybe LeBron has every right to protect himself. But younger players are frustrated. They're fighting for playoff positioning, for their own futures, and their leader keeps sitting out. They see the disconnect between what LeBron says publicly about wanting to win and what he's actually doing. One young player reportedly said in a private conversation, "How are we supposed to trust anything when our captain keeps abandoning ship?" The coaching staff is caught in the worst possible position. They have to game plan without knowing if their best player will show up. They have to maintain team morale while everyone can see the cracks forming. They have to answer media questions with corporate speak while knowing the real story is much more complicated. And the fans? Social media has been absolutely brutal. Lakers fans are torn between loyalty to LeBron, who brought them a championship in 2020, and frustration with what looks like manipulation. Some are defending him, arguing that management's disrespect started this whole mess. Others are ready to see him gone, tired of the drama, tired of feeling held hostage by one player's ego. One viral tweet from late January 2025 summed up the mood. LeBron taught us all about accountability and then showed us it doesn't apply to him. That tweet got over 200,000 likes. Another one said, "The Lakers tried to plan for life after LeBron, and he's making them suffer for it." That one got even more engagement. The media has been circling, smelling blood in the water. Every press conference becomes an exercise in avoiding the obvious questions. Every injury report gets scrutinized for inconsistencies. Reporters who've covered LeBron for years are starting to ask pointed questions about the timing of these injuries, about whether there's more to the story. The front office held an emergency meeting in early February 2025. According to sources, it lasted over 4 hours. The debate was intense. Do they expose LeBron and risk destroying whatever trade value remains? Do they try to mend the relationship and give him the control he's demanding? Or they simply wait him out and hope he remembers his legacy is on the line? No consensus was reached. The organization remains paralyzed, caught between the rock of LeBron's leverage and the hard place of their own long-term planning. We're now in late February 2025, and the trade deadline is days away. The Lakers are barely clinging to a playoff spot. LeBron has missed significant time, and every absence has been questioned, analyzed, debated. The owner knows the truth. The medical staff knows the truth. The players suspect the truth, and LeBron knows that everyone knows. So what are the Lakers' options at this point? Option 1, call his bluff. Put out a statement saying the medical staff has cleared LeBron for all activities, that there's no structural injury keeping him out, and make him either play or formally request a trade. This would be the nuclear option, burning whatever relationship remains, but it would put the control back in the front office's hands. Option 2, cave to his demands. Bring him into the Luka discussions, give him the voice he wants in organizational decisions, promise that no major moves will happen without his approval. This keeps LeBron happy short-term, but sets a dangerous precedent about who really runs the team. Option 3, facilitate a trade. Find a deal that works for both sides, let LeBron go to a contender where he can chase one more ring, and start the rebuild they were apparently already planning anyway. This is probably the cleanest break, but it means admitting that even LeBron James isn't bigger than organizational planning. The clock is ticking. Every day that passes without resolution damages the team more. Chemistry erodes, playoff hopes fade, and the narrative around the franchise becomes increasingly toxic. For LeBron, his legacy hangs in the balance in ways he might not fully appreciate. If this story comes out of its entirety, if the injury faking gets confirmed, if the manipulation becomes undeniable, it will stain everything he's built. The same media that celebrated his longevity and dedication will turn on him for undermining a franchise that gave him a max contract and built around his timeline. But LeBron has always been willing to absorb short-term criticism for long-term gain. He survived the decision, he survived going back to Cleveland, he survived the Lakers' early struggles. He might calculate that he can survive this too, that winning one more championship somewhere else will make everyone forget how messy the exit was. The Lakers, meanwhile, have to decide if they're a player-run organization or a front office-run organization. Can they afford to let a 40-year-old player, no matter how great, dictate their entire future? Or do they draw a line and say that even legends have to operate within the structure? But here's the question that should terrify Lakers fans. What happens if they do give LeBron everything he wants and it still isn't enough? What happens if the Luka deal falls through and LeBron decides he wasted his time? What happens if they bend to his will now and he just uses that leverage to force an even messier exit later? This isn't just about one trade or one season. This is about whether the Lakers can ever truly plan for a future while LeBron is still on the roster. The saddest part of this entire situation is that it didn't have to be this way. LeBron James and the Lakers should have been writing the final chapters of a beautiful story. A legend finishing his career with grace, mentoring the next generation, maybe chasing one more title with a team that respects his input. But instead we've got injuries that don't add up, secret workouts that expose the lies, and an organization paralyzed by the very player they're paying $50 million a year. Maybe LeBron is right to protect himself. Maybe the Lakers disrespected him first by exploring the Luka deal without his knowledge. Maybe in the ruthless business of professional basketball, loyalty is just a word teams use when it's convenient. Or maybe this is what happens when one player accumulates too much power for too long, when organizations become afraid to have honest conversations with their stars, when the line between player empowerment and player entitlement gets blurred beyond recognition. What we know for certain is this: someone is going to blink before the deadline. Either the Lakers cave and give LeBron the control he wants, or they move him to end the drama, or they call his bluff and force the most uncomfortable standoff in recent NBA history. Whatever happens, the relationship is broken, the trust is gone, and the Kings' final act in Los Angeles is looking less like a graceful exit and more like a palace coup. So here's what we want to know. Is LeBron justified in faking injuries to force the Lakers' hand, or is this the most selfish move of his career? Should the Lakers have consulted him before exploring the Luka deal, or does the front office have the right to plan for the future without a player's approval? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this story is far from over, and your perspective matters as we watch this drama unfold in real time. If you want to stay updated on every twist and turn of this saga, every